Addicts, welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Talking waivers today on this lovely 13th day of October, heading into week 6. Not too many injuries over the course of the last week, but some big names out there. Quarterback position, we had Dak Prescott go down. So we'll talk about some streaming options. I know anyone that had Dak Prescott is now in an unfortunate situation of probably having to jump back to the streaming game, but fortunately it's been a strategy that has worked and has won a lot of people championships. You just got to stay diligent. Don't give up too soon. Talking about some of the guys in this particular week that are good, and we'll jump into that right now. So first of all, I just want to keep bringing up Ryan Tannehill because he continues to remain pretty under-owned in most leagues. He did have a down game in week 3, and then obviously the COVID situation in week 4. He's probably out there in a lot of the waiver wires in your leagues. And with the exception of week 3, he's been a top 10 option going back to the time that he started last year, taking over from Marcus Mariota. So Ryan Tannehill, of all the guys on this list, is someone that I feel the most confident in starting going forward and beyond week 6. So if you're looking for someone that you could potentially just keep on your roster, he's already passed his bye week, assuming that there isn't an additional breakout of the COVID in Tennessee, then hopefully Ryan Tannehill can continue to stay on your roster. And for the most part, has a pretty decent schedule, has a couple rough games coming up here pretty soon, but for the most part, I think you're going to be able to start in most of the weeks going forward. So if you're looking for more of a permanent option, I think Ryan Tannehill should be your priority. Now, if we're talking about who has the best matchup this week, it might sound gross, but it's Kirk Cousins playing Atlanta. Atlanta's giving up close to, prior to this week, they were giving up the most points to fantasy quarterbacks. Haven't finished this week out yet. They'll probably still be in that number 1 spot after giving up a pretty big game to Teddy Bridgewater. We saw Kirk Cousins have himself a pretty decent day against the Seattle Seahawks. 27 of 39, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. They're going to be without Dalvin Cook in this one. So this could definitely be a good game for Kirk Cousins if you're looking for a 1-week spot start. Hopefully you don't have scarred memories of starting Kirk Cousins in week 2 against the Colts because Kirk Cousins is going to be a good streamer this week. Andy Dalton, obviously taking over for Dak Prescott, who is out for the season. Might be a little hard to trust him first weekend, but playing against Arizona. Arizona has not been that they haven't been that great at stopping quarterbacks either. So I think Andy Dalton should be in for a fine game. We already know that defense is pretty putrid. So Cowboys are still going to have to put up a lot of points if they want to win games. And I think Andy Dalton is going to at least keep them competitive. Probably doesn't have anywhere near the ceiling of Dak Prescott, but should give you a pretty decent floor week to week. He came in and looked impressive against the Giants. He went 9 for 11 for 111 yards. No touchdowns, but again, he only played for less than a half. So give him some credit for at least getting the Cowboys into field goal range and winning that game against the Giants. So Andy Dalton, decent streamer this week. Probably someone you could keep for a few weeks too, because there's a chance that with how bad that Cowboys defense is, that Andy Dalton just has to sling it and ends up being a good fantasy option going forward. Ryan Fitzpatrick, similar to Ryan Tannehill, has just been a boss with the exception of 1 week this season. He's been a top 10 option dating back to last year. So he just keeps getting disrespected, and that's fine. His schedule is really easy for the most part of the season. He gets to play the Jets this week. Last week against the 49ers, he went 22 of 28 for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had 3 carries for 16 yards. So if Tannehill isn't out there, also love Ryan Fitzpatrick as an option that you could just keep on your roster and play him most weeks and just sub him out in bad matchups. And then Gardner Minshew, honestly the same thing. 31 of 49, 301 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. So losing Dak Prescott was a problem and will be a problem going forward, but at least you still have the streaming game. So pick up at least one of these guys, maybe grab 2 if you have a deeper bench, but typically we're only going to recommend rostering 1 quarterback just with how brutal the injuries are at all the other positions. But these are my favorite streamers this week. Leave a comment if you guys have any questions on your specific league.